So as the war in Ukraine continues in its fourth year, nuclear threats loom large as the American President Donald Trump now faces off with former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev over his 8th of August ultimatum. The threat of a potential nuclear war could soon be a reality if the world's two superpowers, the United States and Russia, escalate their already tested patience. Now, Trump wants Russia to end the war in Ukraine, calling its military actions as disgusting, warning Putin of further sanctions if no progress is made by the 8th of August to de-escalate. Now, his statement did not go down well with the Russians, prompting a strong reaction from Dmitry Medvedev. Now, Medvedev, remember, had served as Russia's president from 2008 till 2012 and prime minister from 2012 till 2020. It is now currently the deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council. In a post on X, Medvedev warned Donald Trump that every ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war. Playing the nuclear card, he reminded Donald Trump of Russia's nuclear capabilities, including of the dead hand system, which was developed during the Cold War. Now, this system ensures that even in the event of catastrophic nuclear attack, Russia can still initiate a counter-strike by launching nuclear missiles from underground deep silos, initiating a full-scale nuclear response towards its adversaries in the Western world. Now, viewing Medvedev's comments as a clear nuclear threat, Trump issued an order to move 2 nuclear submarines to appropriate regions near Russia.
You have to read what he said. He was talking about nuclear. When you talk about nuclear, we have to be prepared, and we're totally prepared.
Now, taking on Trump, the Russian Duma Deputy Chairman Viktor Vorlatsky had said there are significantly more Russian nuclear submarines in the oceans than American ones, and the ships and the US President ordered to be redirected to the appropriate regions have long been under control. While Trump and Medvedev trade these nuclear barbs, Putin has signaled no change in Russia's stance on Ukraine, despite Trump's 8th of August deadline, playing down Trump's demand for a ceasefire. He has said that all disappointments come from excessive expectations.
Of course, the direct Russia-Ukraine talks in Istanbul is a positive point. As for any disappointments on anyone's part, all disappointments come from excessive expectations.
So as the United States readies itself with new sanctions against Russia, Trump's White House envoy Steve Witkoff is expected to travel to Russia for talks, with past meetings bearing no credible breakthrough. It remains to be seen if Russia changes its stance. All right, now joining us on the broadcast, we have got Mr. Fred Weir. He is a journalist and a political commentator and is joining us live from Moscow. Now, Mr. Weir, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on WION. The fact that, this kind of strident nuclear rhetoric will have real-life consequences does not escape anyone's mind. But the fact that Dmitry Medvedev reminded the Americans about Russia's nuclear capabilities, do you think this was calculated to evoke a certain kind of a response from the Americans, or do you think he has perhaps said something that has now hardened the American position?
The first thing to point out is that Dmitry Medvedev has no power. He is a former president and he is deputy chair of the Security Council, but it seems his main role these days is to send out provocative tweets. He is the guy who conducts the information war from the Kremlin's point, and he says often very provocative things. I subscribe to his Twitter feed, and I'm often shocked by some of the stuff he says. But it is not the sort of stuff you hear out of the mouths of Putin or any other Russian officials. That just seems to be his job. And it's most unfortunate that Donald Trump has picked up on something he said. It is about nuclear weapons, and that there too, the Russians have been reminding the West since the beginning of this war that they are a nuclear-armed superpower. And they do that in order, I think, to deter the West from getting more involved in Ukraine. That is the reason they keep bringing it up. But it always sends chills down my spine when this kind of talk starts. And this is another case where it has, as you say, led to real life consequences. And Lord knows we have enough instability and dangers in the world without people reacting to tweets and sending submarines across the world, ballistic missile submarines, to threaten the adversary. So it's such an unfortunate situation, but there it is.
And in your estimate, how do you think the Russians will respond to the fact that Donald Trump has now, announced that the Americans are moving two of their nuclear submarines into suitable positions, one assumes, closer towards Russia? Now, Russia is a big nuclear power with perhaps the biggest nuclear arsenal. Americans have a nuclear arsenal to match that of Russia's. With that being the case, do you think the Russians have also made a mistake here by trying to, in many ways, even if they've not done it intentionally, but by embarrassing Donald Trump as a part of these negotiations and phone calls where Trump was expecting something, but the Russians have never been able to match him?
Well, first of all, about the submarines, I don't think it makes any difference. Both sides have, I think, an equal number, roughly equal number of ballistic missile submarines. That is, submarines that carry the kinds of missiles that can destroy cities from someplace in the ocean. And they're always, the whole point of these submarines is that they should be at sea all the time in an unknown location. So I don't think that changes anything materially in the strategic balance. But of course, the talk, the war of words, is the thing we're reacting to, and it's dangerous. It is the first time that Trump or any American president has responded to Russia's reminders that it's a nuclear weapons power in such a way. And I guess we can see that as an escalation. But I think the basic problem here, and the source of Trump's frustration, is that Putin is refusing to make any fundamental concessions on his war objectives in Ukraine. This is the nub of the problem. And I see no likelihood that Putin will back off on any of the key objectives that Russia has laid out. And I don't think that Putin is interested in an immediate ceasefire, which is what Trump is demanding.
All right, my quick final question to you is this. Now, Donald Trump started off his presidency by saying that he wants to have a ceasefire in Ukraine. He thought he'll talk to the Russian president and there will be a ceasefire. He's spoken to the Russian president over and over again, and Donald Trump feels humiliated that his requests are being turned down in this manner, where on the phone call with Donald Trump, the Russian president appears to be very friendly, cordial, and to use Donald Trump's language, he said there's a lot of bullshit that is being thrown at us, where Putin is very nice in what he says, but nothing actually gets done. Instead, you see an intensification in the aerial attacks by Russia. Is there a possibility for a middle ground where the Russians can make some concessions to meet Donald Trump halfway?
I think that whatever they would do would be performative or theatrical. As I said, Putin has publicly and I guess privately laid out Russia's war goals very clearly. They've been fighting for well over 3 years, and they're not about to back off and make any fundamental concessions just to please Donald Trump. So it is a problem. Trump's temper and his mercurial nature are well known. And I'm sure that they understand this in the Kremlin, but I don't think any progress of the sort that Trump wants is likely to happen.
Now, Mr. Fred Weir, you follow these developments very closely. Can you think of a last time round when nuclear submarines such as this had been moved, resulting in what is quite obviously a pretty big escalation?
I think they're moving constantly. You see, I don't think that means anything. These submarines are designed to be at sea for months and months and months in secret locations. That is the whole point of them, that if a nuclear war should break out, they will be able to surface and fire their missiles. And that is the name of the game. I think each side has about 15 of these ballistic missile submarines, nuclear powered. and nuclear armed, and they are at sea, most of them at sea all the time. Enough of them anyway to create that sense of deterrent. And the whole point is that we should not know where they are.
Right.
And
do you think
so
the Cuban crisis matches this crisis that we are at?
I think the whole Ukraine war situation, certainly viewed from the Russian side, resembles the Cuban Missile Crisis to them. It's the West penetrating into their their comfort zone, threatening them. That's as the Russians see it, and they see it on the scale of the Cuban Missile Crisis. I don't think this war of words over the submarines itself equates to the Cuban Missile Crisis.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Fred Weir, for joining us with that perspective there.
Thank you.